Good morning, friends, and welcome to Trans India. Real people, real emotions. Automobile dealership has undergone a huge transformation over the years. And one of the factors driving this change is the Federation of Automobile Dealers Association, also known as FADA. Let me quickly mention here that FADA is amongst my top 3 favorite associations in the country, representing a very specific segment. Automobile dealership is a tough business with constant pressure from the vehicle manufacturers to invest more in increasing the dealership infrastructure as well as the touch points. At the same time, there is a huge expectation of the customers. The customers want their vehicles serviced and repaired in the quickest possible time, more so if it is a commercial vehicle. Not to mention, the deliveries pressure are also there. In our episode today, we unfold the various layers of the dealership business and how FADA is further strengthening the dealers. We have with us Mr. Manish Raj Singhania, the president of FADA. Incidentally, the best thing about FADA is its team, full of young enthusiastic people. And the office secretariat too is headed by the young and dynamic Saharsh Damani. So coming up after this very short break, our interaction with Manish Raj Singhania, the president of FADA. You are watching Trans India, real people, real emotions.
बच्चों का दूसरा घर होता है और इस घर का ख्याल रखना एक प्रिंसिपल के लिए आसान नहीं। पढ़ाई के साथ बच्चों का आराम, उनकी सेफ्टी, छोटी से छोटी चीज़ मेरी प्रायोरिटी है। वैसे ही स्कूल बस चुनना भी एक बहुत बड़ा डिसीजन था। पेरेंट्स का पीस ऑफ माइंड, मैनेजमेंट का भरोसा और बजट साथ लिए चलना पड़ता है। इसीलिए कभी-कभी फर्म भी बनना पड़ता है। आखिर कोई अपने बच्चों की जिम्मेदारी मुझे दे रहा है तो कोई बजट की। लेकिन इतने सालों में एक चीज समझ आई है, अगर सही डिसीजन लें तो सबसे ज्यादा प्यार भी प्रिंसिपल को ही मिलता है।
चुनिए महिंद्रा क्रूजियर स्कूल बसेस। यह है मजबूत ट्यूबुलर स्ट्रक्चर, एंटी लॉक ब्रेकिंग, एंटी रोल बार, पैराबोलिक सस्पेंशन, आईमैक्स, वाइडर सीट्स और बेस्ट इन क्लास माइलेज के साथ बच्चों के लिए सेफ और बाकी सब के लिए सबसे स्मार्ट चॉइस महिंद्रा क्रूजियर स्कूल बस।
Welcome back to Trans India, real people, real emotions. We are interacting today with the president of the Federation of Automobile Dealers Association, Mr. Manish Raj Singhania. So Manish, how was the performance of the automobile industry in the last financial year, especially considering that the previous 2 years were not a very good one?
Automobile industry has been doing pretty well for as such in India. You can see 2 records being created. One is in the passenger car segment. That created an ever highest sale of around 3.6 million, and second record was in tractor sales. Though on a year-to-year basis we see a single-digit growth, but it's an ever highest sale of approximate 8.6 lakhs close to. That's the ever highest tractor retail. So in 3-wheeler also, if we go segment-wise, passenger car, 2-wheelers. 2-wheelers is the only segment which is still lagging behind, though we see a double-digit growth on a YOY basis in 2-wheeler segment, but it's still at a 7-year low. Okay. So tractor dealers have been struggling, 2-wheeler dealers have been struggling, and there's a kind of continuous struggle to every month. Only during the festive times we are seeing 2-wheeler numbers coming up, but rest of the months normally we are seeing a degrowth or a mediocre growth. But nowhere near the COVID numbers. Three-wheeler has recovered fully, and the industry has kind of transited to EV model now. So almost 50-55% of the EV three-wheeler industry is now constituted by EV. Three-wheeler industry is constituted by electric vehicle sales, and for CV industry we are almost close to pre-COVID levels now. We had a high of CV industry, and we are hardly 60,000 vehicles behind the pre-COVID levels. So I think with the current allocation of the central government of close to 9 lakh crores for the infrastructure spend, if that really comes through, that would be a boon for the CV industry, and plus a lot of industrialization and a lot of manufacturing focus has gone in from the central government. If all these are through and it comes on the ground level, it can be really a great boon for the CV industry.
And Manish, what about the dealers? With the numbers looking so good, the dealers should be in a comfortable space, right?
See, with a lot of dealers who had been financially prudent, they have really raked good money during the COVID times. Even though volumes were less, even though numbers were less, but the per vehicle profit was, you should rather say per vehicle discount was negligible. We could retain our complete dealer margins. Normally, dealers push their sales. We have to push the numbers to the market, vehicles to the customers, and in doing so, we normally take a pie from our margin and offer it to the customer. But that didn't really happen in the last 2-3 years, post-COVID, I should say. And supplies have been very tight, and paid-up stocks were very less. The interest burden was really not there, and dealers were able to retain all their margins. So good year, especially for passenger car dealers, or in fact for CV dealers also. If you look at it, the first year after COVID was a huge struggle. CV industry had literally gone blank, like zero, and but after that it recovered well, and second year dealers have been doing well.
Manish, the commercial vehicle industry has been in the midst of a discount war, if I may call it. What exactly troubles the industry here?
If you want CV industry, what troubles the CV industry more is about the the kind of discounts that is being offered to the customer. The OEMs getting involved in deals, and the level of discount is very high. That's the most troublesome part. Otherwise, CV dealers would have been doing pretty well and quite decent. There has to be a kind of, I should not say a discount control, but OEM should ensure that margins of dealers are not taken into account when offering good deals to their prospective customers, because now majorly there's a total shift in buying pattern in CV. Initially, you could, if you remember, in the years 2014, 15, 16, we had seen a lot of newbie truck operators or fleet operators coming in, owning 3-4 trucks and calling themselves transporters. That kind of thing was very much relevant that time, but that segment has now totally vanished. As per our FADA survey, we see normally now 80% of the buying happening through fleet operators. So that's a clear indication that, and these fleet operators can obviously, since they are buying a certain number of vehicles, they want to have a good deal, so they command a better discount in the market. But whatever the discount should be offered to cleanse that deal, should be offered from the OEM's pie. Maybe a little bit share from the dealer's pie. Right now, that's not the case. Dealer is losing, even though doing volume in CV, dealers are losing money comparatively. Compared to a passenger car dealer, they are losing more money rather than making more money.
Manish, what are the major issues that dealers face operationally?
See, it can be calibrated in a couple of 3-4 things. See, one is first, most important thing on the top of the mind of the dealers is the OEM dealer relationship. that we have been focusing on quite a lot. This thing has been repeatedly coming up to the FADA. Our members have been regularly talking about it. We want to maintain a very healthy and a positive relationship between all the partners of the auto industry, whether it is ACMA or SIAM or FADA. We want a healthy relationship. But over time, and maybe due to volume pressure, an ever expanding market with rapid growth happening in India, somewhere or the other, like that relationship has kind of, diminished or dissolved, or it's not getting that required focus that it should be given. See, automobile dealership it's not you open up a shop and tomorrow you can close it. It requires huge capex, and we are entrepreneurs. We invest a lot of money in this business. We invest our time as entrepreneur in this business, and we kind of calibrate or leapfrog the local development of that region also, because we are the only industry, automobile dealers, where we employ 99% of the local people. We don't displace people while opening up a dealership. That's very unique about dealership. And it's a very capital intensive business. It's a very manpower intensive business. We need regular supply of quality manpower, and it's, industry dynamic is also ever changing. The new skill sets are required on a daily, not on a daily basis, but every time we are seeing a new different skill set requirement coming in. So it's a very dynamic business, and dealers really need to be assured that if they are invested in this business, that can only happen with a good and a positive relationship with the OEM. So that's the primary focus that dealers are having. Secondly is a lot of technological changes are coming in. A lot of I should say Internet of Things is interfering in our day-to-day business activities. As you can see, customers now research their choice of vehicle, the features and everything, and on internet, and obviously they come finally to the showroom to get that touch and feel and test drive of the vehicle. So that's the present story. So we need to evolve according to the customer's choice and his or her preferences. They are more tech savvy. They are more aware of the features in the vehicle. They don't require that much teaching about each and every features. They can see live videos of what is there in the vehicle, what will happen when they use these features and all that. So dealers need to be very updated about all these new evolution that is coming in, how to catch up new gen inquiry, which is in the Internet of Things, how to attend to them. That's the phase that we are seeing. Third is we are also with the everything going on DMS and everything getting on system driven. We are also aware about the various cyber securities and cyber attacks that can happen at the dealership, because we have got a lot of data, and that data can be of it's a pot of gold. So, and a lot of confidential data about the vehicle history and such kind of thing. Customers' details are also available at the dealership. We are well aware of this data theft also. So we are also looking into it. How do we secure dealers about this data theft? So these are the new age challenges that we are seeing post-COVID.
So is there a constant pressure from the customers as well as the OEMs on service and other parameters, and more importantly, service through the customer's perspective?
So yeah, it's a very competitive market now. Indian car market has really, or Indian automotive space is now very competitive. We have number of players now, and customer has a choice. So every OEM has a unique USP where they are creating a space in the mind of the customer, so they can have a differentiating factor or uniqueness about their own brand. Similarly, for dealers also create their say there can be, with the same brand, there can be a multiple dealer in a city or a area. How do you distinguish yourself? So that's the thing. Dealers also initiate various brand activities to create a space in the mind of the customer. So numbers are very important. We need to get into numbers.
Manish, talking of market share, FADA has started releasing retail sales data of vehicles. What was the thought process behind this?
What FADA has really done has shifted from wholesale market share to retail market share, because dealers were very much pressurized about the wholesale market share, and we were told that this dealer is doing that, and though the dealer would be carrying stock, finally when a vehicle gets retailed to a certain customer, then only that should be counted as an actual retail. Retail to a dealer is just a shifting of stock from OEM stockyard to a dealer stockyard. But finally, when that vehicle is owned by a customer, that will show your actual market share. So we have really, we have shifted the market totally now from wholesale industry to a retail-based industry. Our Vahan data that we release every month is now more accurate, more fundamentally right, and dealers are very confident of when they talk to their OEMs about their market share now in terms of retail who are performing well. So yes, number pressure would be definitely there, and now with post-COVID volumes of production going up and semiconductor supply easing out each month, though it has not completely settled down, but still each month it's easing out. So number pressure would obviously be there, and we dealers are also number driven. We would like to do, an aspiration is always there to do a higher number.
So Manish, is the customer expecting too much these days, or are the dealers going overboard with their offerings?
Though the pressures are there, sometimes few things really seem a bit illogical. We are going really overboard, doing things for the customer, and sometimes customer also kind of takes advantages over the dealer when he realizes, yes, this is the
that's always the
yeah. So that feature is also there, but it's a part of the business. I think OEM and dealers need to work together to create an ideal customer experience platform. We should not get overboard. We should not overdo things. Yes, customer delight, customer satisfaction should be paramount importance in the mind frame of our dealers, because a happy customer can get us 5 or 10 next new customers. But we need to sit together and understand what is that ideal platform, and where customer, dealer, OEM can coexist and cohabit.
Manish, we have seen technology jumps, especially to counter the environment changes. How are dealers coping with this, especially in terms of training the manpower, upgrading the equipments, etc.?
So I think most difficult transition was from BS4 to BS6 rather than this thing. We have transited well, and in fact there was a crisis also. A lot of vehicle got stuck. It was a FADA petition which finally got accepted in the Supreme Court, and we were able to get relief for all the auto dealers across India. Similarly, during OBD transition, OBD1 to OBD2, I think we were the only one which had a clear dialogue with Morth, getting an understanding that we don't have a similar situation that we had in BS6 type of situation, and we got a written clarification from Morth, and subsequently we issued that clarification to all the dealers, and which was also widely used and circulated by various OEMs across India. And we have been a leader in terms of, we are there to secure the interests of the dealers finally, because after OEM does the billing, it is the dealer who is holding the stock. So the stock should not be a problem for retail. So we got a clarification on that, and that was a big appreciation by auto dealers across India. And while in terms of training, I don't think OBD1, OBD2 requires a lot of...
But tools that is more or less the same.
More or less same, yeah. But the transition was majorly between BS4 to BS6. We are very thankful to OEMs who have been on the front foot in coming forward and getting the dealer manpower trained. Dealerships as well, they also incorporate their own individual training programs to skill up their manpower in their specific categories. In fact, I would like to also talk about here is as FADA Academy, we have also now just started and we have just finished our first course on leadership, and we have just launched our second course, that is management by dashboard. So we have started this academy with a vision to give a very kind of insider training to the auto dealers across India. While OEM definitely give a new dealership that starts, the OEM definitely imparts some training, but that's on a different aspect of business and broader sense. But on ground realities, what a dealer faces or various integrities of working in India, it's very complex. And what are the real factors that a dealer principal needs to focus on? What are the kicking points? What are the ticking points? And where the mola is, where the money is. So all these are being, we are incorporating in our courses in academy. And our dream of is to take this academy onto a very high level. We had 16 people, 16 dealers joined in our first course, and almost over 100 people have kind of shown interest in our second course.
Manish, what has been the inspiration behind starting the FADA Academy?
And I'll tell you, our inspiration is NADA Academy. They have a huge college-like setup, and more than 1,000 staff working for the academy, NADA. So that's a kind of dream. Understand the kind of training potential available. And it's a multi-dimensional business, or dealership is a multi-dimensional business where you need to train, educate on various aspects, so that you can say it is, a business where the income comes by drop, and you have to accumulate each drop to have your bucket full of your, profit. So if you miss out on any drop, then you miss out on the profit, and it's on various verticals. So it's a very complex business as such. So we'll keep on working and coming out on new courses, and we have also in fact defined the hierarchy of FADA Academy now. Whoever is the president, when the president retires with his huge knowledge and experience, he or she goes on to become the chairman of FADA Academy and Research. So that continuity is there in the association. And plus the experience is used for taking the vision of FADA forward.
Manish, majority of the dealerships are family managed businesses. Would the academy have courses specifically targeting the youngsters aspiring to join the family business?
So yes, we have started, wonderful question. Actually, what we realized in last 4-5 years is while we see a lot of young people entering in this business, but normally the talk on the dining table or talk at the home place is normally, what is this dealership? What has it given us? So much OEM pressure. Various kind of negativity has always been talked about auto dealership at home. But we should understand that this is the business which has created money and wealth for us, and by that wealth only our next generation is able to study maybe a lot of abroad, US or America or UK and that kind of places. They have been able to get decent education. So while this Gen X is coming from after getting their education, they should understand that this is the business from which they have, or their family is now so much well established. So they should give respect to this business. For giving an understanding to the Gen X, we have created a Gen X vertical where there is a age criteria, and we are trying to gather whoever is incoming GNX in every automobile family or dealership across India, whether male or female, and we have got a decent number of members there doing lot of activities, lot of beautiful activities, and incorporating knowledge about auto dealership business among themselves, and giving a better understanding, giving respect to this business. Though the OEM part, FADA is also working on it through this model dealer agreement, where we want to create a level playing field and that kind of mutual respect between the OEM and dealership. So GenX is a very wonderful platform that we have created, looking to the requirement of GenX that is coming into the business and trying to educate and have fun regarding the auto dealership business.
And well, besides the youngsters, we also have a lot of women heading dealerships and actively participating in the business. That's a wonderful sign.
That's also, I think, both the GenX and WIF, we call it, women in FADA, we are trying to recognize various women working in various capacities across dealership. We are trying to bring them forward. In fact, in the last Auto Summit that we did, in 13th Auto Summit that we did in Taj here in Delhi, we launched a coffee table book recognizing the women in FADA. So their activities are yet to start, but yes, the group is now close to 80 plus. So that's quite a lot, and I think still there is a lot of untapped talent there, still not exposed to. These women are working in something accounts or something back-end job. We really need to make them come forward. And I've got a good example. I've got a young girl in Raipur. I just met a couple of months back. Now she's at the helm of affairs of a Maruti dealership, and she's unmarried. She's just finished her education, and she's recognized as a DP, dealer principal for that.
Wow.
So that's the thing, and I think auto dealerships are the best business for women because it's an organized business. You don't have to, business environment can be very tough in India, but auto dealership is one business where you can really, women can come to the front and have a good control of the business, and it's a very organized. We've got skilled manpower and a lot of quality things working under us, and a lot of organized way of working. So it's a very good business for women to come forward to.
Friends, the dealers are an extension of the manufacturers, but it was always felt that there was never a fair agreement between the manufacturers and the dealers. However, FADA initiated the Model Dealer Agreement, which is the result of a lot of research. Manish tells us more about the Model Dealer Agreement on the other side of this very short break. You are watching Trans India, real people, real emotions.
स्कूल बच्चों का दूसरा घर होता है, और इस घर का ख्याल रखना एक प्रिंसिपल के लिए आसान नहीं। पढ़ाई के साथ बच्चों का आराम, उनकी सेफ्टी, छोटी से छोटी चीज़ मेरी प्रायोरिटी है। वैसे ही स्कूल बस चुनना भी एक बहुत बड़ा डिसीजन था। पेरेंट्स का पीस ऑफ माइंड, मैनेजमेंट का भरोसा और बजट साथ लिए चलना पड़ता है। इसीलिए कभी कभी फर्म भी बनना पड़ता है। आखिर कोई अपने बच्चों की जिम्मेदारी मुझे दे रहा है तो कोई बजट की। लेकिन इतने सालों में एक चीज़ समझ आई है, अगर सही डिसीजन लें तो सबसे ज़्यादा प्यार भी प्रिंसिपल को ही मिलता है।
चुनिए महिंद्रा क्रूजियर स्कूल बसेस। यह है मजबूत ट्यूबुलर स्ट्रक्चर, एंटी लॉक ब्रेकिंग, एंटी रोल बार, पैराबोलिक सस्पेंशन, आईमैक्स, वाइडर सीट्स और बेस्ट इन क्लास माइलेज के साथ बच्चों के लिए सेफ और बाकी सब के लिए सबसे स्मार्ट चॉइस, महिंद्रा क्रूजियर स्कूल बस।
Welcome back to Trans India. Real people, real emotions. We are in conversation with Mr. Manish Raj Singhania, the president of FADA. Manish, you mentioned the model dealer agreement. What was the thought process behind the MDA and how many have actually signed the MDA to now?
Model dealer agreement, yes, we have been talking about this for quite a long. We thought about this dealer agreements when obviously some issues crop in. So we had some issues crop in, especially during the exits. We had some prominent OEMs who have exited India, and that created a lot of problem, and huge fraternity of dealers were at FADA office, and we had to attend to their requirement. I mean, it was crazy. There was a very good example where a dealer is almost on the verge. He had got the LOI 6 months back, and the dealership is on the verge of completion, and the company is winding off. So you have invested everything in there, your money and everything you have invested, and it's a long-term business also. But all these various experiences taught us that we need a change in model dealer agreement. Our dealer agreements are very one-sided. We just have to sign on the dotted line, and I think these agreements are now quite, I mean, it's age-old agreements. Those haven't changed with times. Few OEMs we have seen, they just work on LOIs. We don't see even a dealer agreement existing in their business setup. So that was a shock to us, because see, if I take for a business, for auto dealership, if I take a term loan, that's for 5 years. I mean, I'm committed to that business for minimum 5 years. And it requires, a car dealership now requires any investment between 25 to 50 crores. Or a two-wheeler dealership requires anywhere investment between 8 to 10 crores or 15 crores, depending on the location also. So that's the kind of investment that has now come in for the dealership. So MDA came into the thought process, and we really wanted to create a level playing field for the auto industry. Just that FADA has created this model dealer agreement doesn't mean that it's a kind of bent towards the ideas and thoughts of FADA, or more in the interest of the automobile dealers. While creating this FADA, this MDA, we have studied all international agreements, and plus domestic agreements. We have compared those agreements. We have employed two decent legal firms to get a decent comparison among all various aspects of agreements. And when the draft was ready, we also got in some very senior ex-auto industry bosses, okay, who have retired from the industry, so that to get their OEM perspective, where we might have, kind of not being creating a balancing act. We didn't want that. So we got their perspective, we got their feedback, and after a lot of work for almost 2 years, this MDA came in shape. And in the last Auto Summit, it was launched by Mr. Vinod Agrawal, SIAM President. So not Auto Summit, Auto Retail Conclave, right? So that's the thing, and we have now met close to 12 or 13 OEMs, and I'm proud to say that MG has been the first to accept a model dealer agreement in toto, and during our Auto Summit, they launched their version of model dealer agreement, incorporated and signed by MG dealers now. We furthermore happy to share that Honda Cars is almost at the finalization stage, and what is unique is they are Japanese. If they are able to recognize MDA, so that can be a big win for FADA. Why we are confident that this will come through with all OEMs? Because we are balanced, we are true, and we have been working for the betterment of the auto retail industry. So I don't think any OEM would discourage anything that we are doing for good for the auto retail industry. Till now, whomsoever we have met, we have got very excellent responses, and a lot of, since dealer agreements go to their legal team and all, so a lot of good responses, and I assure you I haven't heard a single negative word from any OEM. So we are very confident with in due course of time, this MDA would be a landmark agreement for the auto industry.
Manish, OEMs always desire the dealers to increase their infra in terms of more outlets, more number of bays, of course on the basis of growing volumes. How do dealers manage the investment, and do the OEMs support these expansions?
So yes, some new OEMs, new gen OEMs have entered the auto retail space in India. They have started supporting in getting, because see, as I already quoted, it has now become heavy capex business, and you can already see land cost going up phenomenally up. We see Maruti investing in real estate and leasing that space to auto dealers now. So you want to address dealers of a certain location in a particular city, so land cost can be pretty heavy. Apart from, we can take up a leased area, but that's a different story. There is an ever growing kind of, requirement or customer demands also to go area specific and address to the, because if more dealers come in city or more workshops come in city, we'll be able to address the customer requirement faster, quicker and all that, and finally lead to customer satisfaction. What is critical here is the decision to appoint a dealer is purely on the OEM. So the OEM needs to ensure the viability of that dealership and ensure that due to this new dealer that comes into that particular city or town or location, the old dealer doesn't get affected, because he has also invested his hard-earned money, and he has committed a certain number of bank loans and various kind of, he's managing localized manpower, and he's also identified businessman in his community. But when you appoint a new dealer, the numbers definitely go down, but finally we expect that market will subsequently increase and you start delivering a new number. That guarantee, I am specifically using the word guarantee, should be assured by the OEM. Okay, it should not happen that a certain number that was being delivered by dealer 1, and after coming out dealer 2, that's hardly an increment of 20-30%. It's very nominal. It should at least double or maybe incremental of 50 to 70%. That can be a viable, space for both the dealers. But sometimes OEM can be very whimsical while appointing dealers, or maybe they would like to compete with other OEMs while establishing, trying to aspire for a certain market share. But that clear understanding should be there, whether they have that commitment in the market, whether they have that kind of product range available with them, that will ensure that what market share they are aspiring for is doable or not. While OEMs will continue to appoint dealers, they have to ensure the viability of the new dealership as well as the old existing dealerships. So that the only OEM can do, and I think any new opportunity that comes in, that should be first offered to the existing dealers, because he is already committed to that particular brand, and if he is doing well, that business opportunity should be offered to him.
Manish, you have been in the dealer business for a long time and have seen this industry change. However, in the last few years, we are seeing so many variants of the same model. How tough is this for you from a selling point or a stocking point?
The biggest is, biggest pain for a dealer is now maintaining test drive vehicles. For so many models you require, and on variants, and then you got this fuel types now, CNG to electric to petrol to CNG to diesel. So many, the test drive vehicles have become a very big kind of investment for the auto dealers. In fact, paid up stocks also, because number of variants, number of colors, I mean, it's crazy, and certain OEMs are just gung-ho with the variants. I mean, it really drives us mad. And finally what happens, whatever the customer will always demand such a model which is not available at the dealership. he or she would require that particular model which is not available. That is a simple routine daily happening at the dealership, and we are always stuck. We have a customer, we have stock, but we cannot retail. So it's a very I think we need to have a better understanding of the customer requirement at the inquiry level itself, and we now have very improved DMSs now, and some dealers use their own software to track at the inquiry level what exactly that customer is requiring. Because now with so many models, so many variants, so many color types and so many fuel types, it's really difficult to get a ideal kind of stock level at the dealership, and it keeps on stress on our paid up stocks and as well as test drive vehicles. So and it is not that the customer is also very clear what he or she would be buying at the inquiry level itself. They would be exploring, and finally we have got a number of instances. I'm a Mahindra dealer. The customer books for a XUV 700 certain model and finally picks up a different model. So it's really very difficult to address to such kind of customers, and it's a very common practice. We don't have a very kind of organized market in India where customers are, and we no, you have booked this vehicle, you have to take the delivery of this vehicle. It's nothing like that. We go to any lengths to satisfy to the customer. So it's a very difficult situation, and the more the competitive the market, the more. But all OEMs should really focus. I mean, if they are so hell-bent on having so many variants in stock, they should support them dealers in terms of maintaining adequate stock levels at the dealer, because that's the only solution.
Also, you would be maintaining a good number of test drive vehicles. Do you see any change in that pattern?
We are, as FADA, we are also thinking of talking to OEMs. How do we give test drive vehicles to a third party? Okay. Any dealer would be a car dealer would be maintaining test drive vehicles. It's a huge investment now. Vehicles are not cheap now. And support is very nominal in terms of test drive vehicles, but we do have to maintain records, satisfaction, and timely test drive of the vehicle. So why not a third party can do it? And we think about it. And customers are spread across the geography. It is not that maybe your dealership is located somewhere and a customer sitting somewhere 100 kilometers or 150 kilometers away from you would be requiring a test drive. So how do we do it? We cannot send the vehicle for a specific test drive. We need a number of customers to give test drive. That would incur cost. So why not? Well, it's just a thought actually. We were just thinking.
That's a wonderful thought.
Yeah. Why not we have some specific operators like likes of Ola or the Ubers and such kind of things who maintain test drive vehicles and arrange for a test drive that cost may be jointly borne by the OEM and the dealers. That's not a problem. But that would OEMs see, and what is happening, even if you buy a test drive vehicle, so now initially model change or variant change used to happen in 5 years, 6 years. Now every second, third year that's a model change or variant change. And as soon as it changes, the OEM wants that you should have the latest test drive vehicle to offer to the customer so that the customer gets the best test drive experience. So then again, it's a pressure to retail the old test drive vehicle and buy a new test drive vehicle. It has become a very big talking point among dealers, and we would continue to think about it and to do something about it so that test drive vehicles can be, be more organized in.
Manish, there has been a lot of talk on electric vehicles. How do you see the EV segment evolving?
Three-wheelers has been wonderful. Market has kind of totally transited to electric now. Two-wheeler is now close to 5% penetration, and I see. I've been always quoting that the legends of auto industry or the trustworthy brands are yet to enter the market with their range of EV products. The market is ready for a kick now, but whatever EVs, two-wheeler EVs are there, they are majorly of startups, new age players, and the brands who have got trust. And see, owning an automobile is a number of years experience, and over 3-4 years, 5 years, you develop the confidence and trust on the brand. It's not that it's a one-time this thing. You relate to that overall confidence on and experience and the kind of serviceability that brand was able to offer to you, or that dealer was able to offer to you. So I think EV two-wheeler can be at a very good ticking point now, and if our legacy players come in with their range of, I'm specifically quoting range because they cannot come up with 1 or 2 models. They need to come up with their range of models that can be a good ticking point for the EV two-wheeler industry. The cost we have been seeing continuously, it's coming down, but still the entry-level two-wheeler, it's already struggling, and the ICE space also we are struggling. And we really need to get that entry level, because 70% of the two-wheeler market is entry level. So if we don't have a decent offering to the customer at the entry level EV space, so 30% addressing to that 30% customer is not enough if we really want to have a certain good penetration for the EV industry in EV two-wheeler space. So we need to address this 70% entry level customers. How do we? And these are primarily also motorcycles, not scooters. We are now majorly seeing a lot of players only in the scooter space. They are yet to come up with their motorcycle, and motorcycle requires range. So that's a thing in the EV two-wheeler, but the customer mindset has come in. We see a lot of inquiries coming in for the EV two-wheeler. Customer is, considering while buying, but normally that question would be there, "Bhaiya, is this abhi kharid lu kya? Ki thoda ruk ke lu?" That kind of thing. Shall I wait, or is it the right time to buy a EV? Should I invest in the EV or not? The apprehension towards resale value, apprehension towards the battery cost after replacement battery cost, such kind of things are still very dominant on the mind of the customer. And but the good point is that we have got strong subsidy support from the center as well as the states. So it's at a ticking point. We need a range of products. I think in a couple of years we can see a decent penetration happening in EV two-wheeler. For PV, India really is not really kind of, our OEMs have still not come up with their range of, it's hardly any use talking about in PV space. We are seeing hardly, very few models are available. Maybe Tata is there, Mahindra has come up with one model, and MG is there, and Hyundai has come. And here also, I would say still we don't have entry level EV. That thing is really missing. We are just trying to address and entry level is also struggling in passenger car market. That customer is already stressed out. So whether he will, just for the environment's sake, right now it's that's a thought only, just for the environment's sake, I don't think they will. So here also we need good range of models, I think, but it is a more matured market. Customers are more aware and more conscious about environment in this segment at least. So, but we are also primarily now SUV market. So people are loving just going gaga over SUVs. So if we really need good penetration, I think 3 to 5 years would be a decent time span to. We have seen a lot of commitment coming from OEMs in those time span. They would be launching in 2 to 3 years time frame, number of models that would be. If number of models come in, then only this space will start moving.
Manish, we have been seeing automobile volumes on the rise for some time now. Do you feel that once a scrapping policy is implemented across the board, in all seriousness, will it further push up the volumes?
Definitely, it would help. But we know that it's a voluntary scrapping policy. But what is very important for the success of scrapping policy is what OEMs are going to offer in exchange of the vehicle that is being scrapped. Certain requirement has been given by government to the OEMs that this much percentage should be, offered to the scrap customer. So if that comes through, and that would require a better incentive or better customer should feel like if he or she is scrapping the vehicle, he is getting a good deal or good scheme on the new vehicle. So if that comes through, government has started with compulsory scrapping with the government vehicles. That's a very good start, I should say. That would really establish the thought process in the market. We are yet to see number of scrapping centers that needs to come across India. Scrapping is there in India. We have scrapping there. In India, it's a very unorganized state. We have scrap wallahs in every city, everywhere, doing all kind of scrapping, and they would be recycling also. But it's not a very hygienic or a systematic way that government is inclined to do. So we need good, before this implementation of this policy, we need good scrapping centers spread across India. Every state, depending on the vehicle population, should have decent scrapping spaces, and it is a boon to both OEMs, government and the customer, because new vehicles are much safer, much more environmental friendly, feature rich vehicle, and it is also safer to the other people who are driving on the road because existing vehicle can be a danger for everybody. So I think for commercial vehicle they should start immediately. That's more required there, and they are kind of more pollution, but finally good scrapping exchange incentive should be there to prompt the customer and to make this policy a success.
Manish, we represent a very specific segment of the automobile industry, and my next question comes from that. All vehicles are bought to dealership in trucks driven by truck drivers. However, after a long journey spanning maybe some days, there are no facilities for the truck drivers to rest or use basic amenities. Can FADA advise its members to provide the above to the truck drivers when they come to deliver either a car or two-wheeler or whatever?
Why not? FADA can do. In fact, I know not many dealers, but I know few dealers who have this setup existing at their dealership. They in fact offer lunch food at subsidized cost also. So I don't think it's a problem. It's a very important thing. In fact, commercial vehicle dealers they require a huge land area in terms of workshop also, and they can definitely create a facility, such facility, and any vehicle, trucks or commercial vehicles carrying passenger, any kind of vehicle, or is delivering the vehicle at their place, I don't think it's a problem. In fact, at my dealership, we offer space for bathing and for change and all that. We don't have a food facility, but commercial vehicles would definitely do. And if you have an impression that dealers are not doing it, so it's a very good point, valid point, that dealers, FADA can definitely take up with commercial vehicle dealers. It's a very good suggestion that will establish a good transporter relationship. Even though they are transporting their vehicles, they are also our customers in some way or the other. Good customer relationship would be there, and finally it will go down in the industry that auto dealers or this dealership is offering this kind of facility. So maybe vehicles would be delivered faster also to that dealership. So it's a very good suggestion. It can be really taken up. And in fact, I was at one of the CV conclave in Pune, and I was returning back to Bombay with the one of the vice ex-president of Trucking Association, Malkit Singh, yeah, sorry, with his with him. So we were just talking about, on the way there are not enough facilities where trucks can lay by and have a bathing space and food and such kind of thing and resting place and all that. And just after Khandala, Lonavala. So I just happened to see a space where it was trucks parking space. So I just suggested him कि भाई साहब आपको you are having that impression कि नहीं रहता and all that. So let's go to this place and see what is there. So we went inside. And there was proper, hostel facility with proper resting place, food at subsidized rate, parking at subsidized rate. Everything was there. There was nothing lacking. We interviewed 4-5 drivers there. कि कैसा है आपका, क्या, just like a lay-by. सब क्या मिल रहा है, क्या नहीं मिल रहा है, क्या थाली का रेट चल रहा है, 1 घंटे का पार्किंग का क्या रेट चल रहा है, and all that. And he was thoroughly satisfied. So maybe the trucking industry, that's a very decent place. I think such kind of space can be, and it was just 100 or 200 meters just off the road. So it was not that it was something very inside or something like that. I could see it, so that's why we finally went there. So I think these kind of spaces are very, very important for our truck drivers. They need to have. If you really are worried about so much accidents happening in India, Mr. Gadkari always talks about it. He's worried. We are worried. And we really need to take that number down. And for that primary thing that is important, that drivers should take adequate rest while transporting vehicles. If they are exhausted, then accidents are bound to happen. Such kind of places, that's a very prime route, Pune-Bombay. I think everybody should, who are a part of this auto retail industry, whether OEM, dealers, customers, or fleet operators, everybody, government, they should initiate such kind of facilities which will ensure a lot of comfort, lot of, in fact, the deliverability will also increase. That time compliance would also increase if the trucker gets a proper rest. So a lot of things to do, and that was a beautiful facility, and that should be replicated across India.
Well, friends, Manish ended the interview on a very high note for us, giving us a hope that there would be facilities for truck drivers at automobile dealerships. We hope that FADA sends out an advisory to its members. I am also sure that this would be the first of its kind initiative by any segment in the country. Well, friends, we are just 1 week away from our 100th episode, which would be aired next Sunday. We will be featuring a very prominent personality from the automobile industry, someone who has spent decades and seen the transformation of the trucking industry and is a well-known person in the transporter as well as the dealer fraternity. We will see you next Sunday in our 100th episode. Until next week, stay safe. Jai Hind.